We're live!
I can't really dive roll. I'm already in the position I need to be in.
You're not gonna dive
Please
roll?
don't dive roll.
No dive roll today. Wait. There, I did it for you. Today, we put out a poll, which I kind of also plan to do each week. And you guys overwhelmingly chose today's topic, which is going to be our
Percy Jackson.
No, Percy Jackson was close, but this summer, or last summer, I guess, which was 2023,
right?
We took a trip of a lifetime, really.
Well, we decided during COVID, like when we couldn't travel, we went to Wendover a couple times, which is great. Wendover's fun, but then we were like, let's go on a road trip somewhere we wouldn't normally go,
right?
On a trip, but that's kind of close. So then we decided on Mount Rushmore. So then from there, we're like, we're going to just do this every year.
Yeah.
We're going to go on a road trip somewhere different every single summer.
Yeah.
It's so much more majestic than I thought. Where's the faces?
So, like Lindsay said, I guess that's the best place to start is where did this all start? So, with everything going crazy and my health in a nosedive decline, things got really tough for us to get out of the house. And so, one of the things that we did for like exposure therapy to getting back into the swing of things was take these short little trips to a nearby town called Wendover, which is like nothing. It's like a Family Dollar, one cafe,
3 casinos.
No, the most interesting thing we found to do there was see how many times we could hit a dollar store in a day.
TJ has gone to Family Dollar. I think it's 8.
Yeah,
I think 8 times in a day.
Like the poor employees at Family Dollar are like, what are these crackheads doing here again?
We saw the shift change.
Anyway, so we...
So we were doing that, and I mean, we're not going to get into like the nitty gritty of it all, but another part of that exposure therapy was kind of sharing it, and so we created a group, which is called Tribe Tries Safe Travels, and that was about us sharing like how a family with some high risk medical needs could still explore the world. And that's kind of where we were.
This is a documentary.
Yeah, so we started it there. Well, then we were like, you know what? We're ready for something bigger, but we're not ready for indoors. We're not ready for huge crowds. What are we going to do? So
flying's off the table.
Flying is off the table.
Not...
For a variety of reasons.
Apparently, if we ever want to go on a trip overseas, we're taking a boat. Because he will, ever since his Boeing stuff started coming out, he was like, no.
No.
He was already scared of them,
Our
too.
plane's doors are falling off! Yeah, so...
It's better than Spirit.
I already was not a good flyer.
Even pre-COVID, it was not
It was
great.
bad. So, we all sat down and we came up with 5 places that were outdoors, driving distance from our house.
5 places? When did we do that?
Oh, I have the notebook in there. I should have brought it in here.
You guys.
No, you will in a second. So we sat down, and one of the things and we chose Oregon, New Mexico, Roswell.
Oh, that's right. I do remember Roswell.
South Dakota.
Yeah. We were just thinking of places like that. Like, I wanted to go to Mount Rushmore because I'd never been there.
Yep.
And it was like these places we were able to drive to. And at this time, we were like, we need to be able to do it in like 5 days.
Right.
So I don't know why we picked that.
Well, so yeah, we had 5 locations which we chipped away at, and by that I mean, and this is what I'll talk about here, is we went and YouTubed or Googled or like whatever, and we compiled lists of like things to do that are outside. And so for each, TJ, actually, can you go grab it? It's on my desk. Okay, you know where my notebooks are?
Your entire job.
It's like the first 4 notebooks. Okay, so we went through and we found like what is there to do. Then the other thing we did is how many days does it take to drive there? What's the cost of it going to be? Which one of these, locations is in our budget and drivable and has something to do? And we are those weird like people who we enjoy traveling to places. It's these. We enjoy traveling places that have history. We like art museums. You're gonna see a lot of that kind of.
We kind of just want to go to places off the beaten path, right? Like everybody, yes, a lot of people go to Mount Rushmore, but I'd never been there.
So here's our very first list. Okay, so I had a lot of time at home, and this is what it turned into. But we had South Dakota, Roswell, New Mexico, Oregon, including Forks, Newport, Astoria, and then we had Washington.
Well, and I think the reason we did Roswell was because TJ was super into aliens at the time.
Was I?
Right?
When was that? I think we... No. It's because when we were Googling stuff, they had the McDonald's shaped like a UFO, and you are still...
That's
yeah,
right.
Because of McDonald's.
But then
it was because of McDonald's.
But then we looked up other things to do in Roswell that looked fun.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So we went through each.
Stuff.
We found out what the cost was going to be. We found out estimate of gas, estimate of hotel stays. I went through and found anything that we liked and wanted to do. It went on the list. And then my job while these guys were at school was to find out what is the cost. Oh, you want to go to the Badlands? Do you need a national park pass? That kind of stuff. And then they would come home and we would say, hey, Chicago, that was the other one.
Okay.
Chicago is getting too expensive, and we can't drive there and have a lot of time and get home in the time allotted. So it's off the list today. Now we're down to these whatever. In the end, our first trip ended up being South Dakota. And that's its story.
And I think the reason we had to narrow it down to days is because we didn't have a lot of time to save money. Because it was we were going to Wendover over spring break. And I was like, let's do a road trip
and we
this
made
summer.
this plan.
And and there were 5 weeks left in the school year, so.
And it had to be the beginning of the school year because
Summer.
That's when you travel in the beginning of the summer, you're still kind of hitting that off-peak season.
Yeah.
But schools aren't out yet either.
Yeah, depending on the part of the country you're in.
Right. And so, it makes crowd sizes smaller, which had to be a factor for us. It makes hotels cheaper, which had to be a factor for us. Yep. And we would be able to go in the middle of the week.
And especially when we were talking about Roswell. If we went any later, it'd be way too damn hot.
And the heat. That had to be the other factor of wherever we were going to be. So, when we sat down for these trips, that was the depth of work before we even chose where to go.
Yeah. So then when we decided it was going to be a yearly thing, we had a lot of time to plan and more time to save.
Right.
And we decided to take a much longer trip last summer.
Yep.